In this chapter, we are going to take a look at some of the ideas that can help polish up your final mix as well as perform a mix down of your track so you can burn it to CD or even create an MP3 file so you can send it to your friends on the net. We'll also take a look at some of the features that will allow you to store your loops as a compressed file for sharing. Let's start with how we can add some extra shine to your mix by doing what's known as pre-mastering. And what this will do is add some fullness to your mix and even out the levels. Pre-mastering can be used depending on the type of music you are working with, as some styles of music are best left with all their natural dynamics. And another factor would be the purpose of your final mixdown. If you are planning to release the music you made, then chances are you may want to have the mixdown mastered by a third party, and in this case would be best left untouched in the mixdown stage. However, many of us may wish to do the pre-mastering job right inside FL Studio. So let's take a look at some steps that we can take to use to perform such a task. Often when doing a pre-master, the first step is to apply some EQ to the overall mix to give it what I call an even curve. In other words, so that one frequency range of the mix is not higher or lower than the others. So I'll start by selecting my master out channel in the mixer window and select an EQ effect for the first plugin. For this demonstration, I'm going to choose the EQO plugin. I selected this EQ because it can show me the curve of the audio spectrum in its display window. Now when I play back my mix, the overall curve looks and sounds pretty good, but there are some areas that I would like to balance a bit more. I'm going to use the pencil mode and make some small adjustments to these areas. The other good thing about the EQO is that the EQ can be very precise, as it has 30 adjustable bands. You shouldn't need to apply a large amount of EQ. If you find that you are adjusting almost every band, then you can be simply overdoing it, or that some tracks in your mix itself need adjusting. The changes should be subtle yet noticeable. You can use the plugin bank on and off switch to do an A/B comparison. So now that you have some subtle EQ applied, the next step would be to apply some overall compression. The art of compression is a tutorial all in itself, but a quick explanation: compression is used to control the level dynamics of a song. In other words, balance the levels out so that the quiet parts are not too quiet and the loud parts are not too loud. In this demonstration, we are going to use the multi-band compressor and apply one of the many presets that come with it. Once you have the compressor loaded under the EQ, select Mastering 2.4 dB from the preset list. This preset is a good starting point for most pre-mastering jobs to give the levels some balance. For more information on using the multi-band compressor, have a look at our video, New FL6 Plugins. This video also contains more detailed information about using the EQO plugin as well. Okay, so now that I have some EQ and compression applied, let's bring up the overall volume of the mix. For this, I'm going to use the Fruity Soft Flipper plugin. What this plugin will do is start to reduce the volume gradually once the level goes past a predetermined threshold, and the overall level will not go past a specified output level. The settings you make here will depend mostly on the type of music you are working on. For my mix I have here, I'll use the levels on the left side of the graph as my guide and reduce the threshold to where the levels are just before the peaks. As I reduce the threshold, you can see that the output level, represented by the end of the curved line, is also reduced. So now let's bring up the output level with the post control. I'll typically bring the post up till the end of the curved line reaches the top right corner. If you want more volume, then you can bring up the level past this point. However, a better idea is, if you still need more volume, is to bring the threshold level down some more, which will reduce the post level, giving you more room to increase it. And now your mix should have a little more punch to it, and it's now time to perform the mixdown. Performing your mixdown is essentially exporting the audio to a stereo file. FL Studio supports exporting your audio to various formats. We will begin by taking a look at exporting to a WAV file. But before we do, let's select what we wish to export. We can export the current loop pattern, or we can export the whole song. The selection is made with the playback mode button. So be sure to select which you want to export before performing the mixdown. In this demonstration, I'll be exporting the whole song, so I have made sure that the song mode is selected. Once done, I now go to the File menu and select Export. Next, I'll select WAV file. I'll type in the name and select the desired location for the mix down. FL Studio will automatically use the project's file name as the name for the WAV file, but this can be changed if desired. After clicking the Save button, you will be presented with the Save Options dialog box. This window will give you some options when exporting the file. The info box will tell you the mode, song or pattern, the total time of the song or pattern, the disk space or file size of the exported file, as well as the number of bars exported. The looping mode will instruct the program what to do with tails of audio left from the samples or effects at the end of a looping point, which is helpful if you are exporting loops. The options are Cut Remainder, which will simply chop off any tails of audio. Leave Remainder, which will just leave the tails as they are, extending the loop to fit them. Wrap Remainder, which will take any tails and move them to the front of the loop so that when the loop is played, the tails will still appear as normal. Set the quality for the sample interpolation. This will affect the sound quality of the samples used throughout the song. Have a look at the FL Studio documentation for more info on these options. The output box allows you to perform a mixdown to multiple formats in one go. Select the 3 file types you wish to use. For more information on the MIDI export, again, please consult the FL Studio documentation. The WAV and MP3 boxes will allow you to set the quality settings for the 2 formats. And finally, there are some additional options that will allow you to split each of the mixer tracks into separate files. Save the file with acidized markers, which is great if you are exporting loops to be used in Sony's ACID program, and the option to save slice markers in the exported file. Once all your options have been set, hit the Start button to begin the export. Once complete, the WAV file can be found in the destination folder. If you were to choose Export to MP3 file as opposed to Export to WAV file, the steps are the same as just described. Only difference is that the output file will be set to MP3 only. Lastly, in this chapter, let's take a look at a unique save-in method, the ability to save your loops in a zip file with all the samples included. A good use of this is if you want to share your loops that you programmed with a friend to be opened in FL Studio. The problem with just sending him or her the FL Studio file only is that there is a chance you have used samples from your library that they may not have in theirs. So what this can do is save all the samples that you used in your FL Studio project into a compressed zip file, so that you can share the file with other FL Studio users without having to worry whether or not they have the samples. To save your project to this file type, simply select Zipped Loop Package from the File Export menu, just into the desired destination folder and the file name, and hit Save. If you are to inspect the contents of the zip file, you'll see the project file as well as all the sample files that were used throughout the project, making it simple to share your work with other FL Studio users from around the globe. And that brings us to the end of this pickup series. We hope that this has given you a quick look at how easy it is to put together a song within the FL Studio environment, and will inspire you to give you the foundation you need to build your own works of art.